Ancient weapons. There are three ancient weapons bearing the names of gods. We got Pluton, Uranus, pause, and Poseidon. So we already know what Pluton is. Pluton is a ship, right? Pluton is a ship. Now my theory on what Pluton my theory on Pluton and how it's going to come to be, I don't know if they're going to build Pluton, because I think we might have Pluton already. We might already have Pluton. What's Pluton? If you listen to my theory earlier this week, it could be the Sunny. It could be the Sunny. The Sunny could be a miniature Pluton. Maybe it's not Pluton, but I do believe that it has, think about it. We got Frankie and Iceberg are the only two people who alive that we know of that know the blueprints to Pluton and have the capabilities to build Pluton. And I would go off the venture to say Frankie, with his knowledge of what the Pluton is and him wanting to build the best ship ever, he probably took some elements of Pluton and incorporated into the Sunny. Now, is the Sunny as powerful? Can the Sunny destroy islands like they say Pluton can? Maybe not. Maybe not. Or maybe we just haven't seen it yet. Maybe, because what reason does the Straw Hats have to destroy an island, right? What reason does the Straw Hats have to destroy an island? So even if it can, we would never see that, because Luffy would never do that. We know it has that laser gun though. So I'm thinking Frankie, you probably incorporated some elements. Maybe not the whole thing of Pluton, but maybe some elements, and turn into more of a miniaturized version of Pluton. Potentially. And then we got Poseidon, who we know is Shirahoshi, and, I think it was confirmed that Shirahoshi kind of it's not, or Poseidon isn't born every generation. It's like it takes many generations to come back, or be reincarnated. Kind of like maybe Joy Boy, and if that's the case, right? Maybe Joy Boy is immortal, because maybe even when he dies, he comes back through somebody like Roger. And even if Roger doesn't inherit Joy Boy's will, maybe I would think Luffy does at the very least. Luffy might inherit Joy Boy and Roger's will, and Eam might be immortal as well, And he's like the natural enemy of Joy Boy. But then we have Uranus, pause. We don't know what that's still the mystery. That is still the mystery of Uranus, what Uranus is. And I don't know. I want to theorize, because I would think they're all different, right? So, okay. So let's take a step back. We're going to do a little theorizing here, just a little. Poseidon, right? We know Poseidon is the god of the sea, Okay. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking on my butt. So so I wanted to make sure I wasn't talking on my anus. Pause. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself. But so we got Poseidon, the god of the sea, based off the Greek god. Poseidon is based off the Greek god Poseidon, right? God of the sea. In the story, that's Shirahoshi, who is a being, who is a living, sentient being with the capabilities to control sea kings. Okay? And then we have Pluton. Okay, so Pluton is based off the Greek god Pluto, and Pluto is pretty much Hades, the god of the underworld. And what we know in One Piece, we know that Pluton is a ship built for destruction. It's able to destroy an island, you know. And then we have Uranus. Pause. And in Greek mythology, Uranus is the god of the sky. The god of the sky. I would think Uranus would have possibly be a weapon that could potentially be on the moon. Maybe that's what those sky people, that's what those little droids are protecting. They're protecting Uranus, the ancient kingdom, the ancient weapon Uranus. But what could it be? What does it actually do? How does it? Why is it a weapon? We know Pluton is a weapon because it's a ship that could destroy you. It's a ship that could destroy islands. We know Poseidon is a weapon because it's a person, a princess that can control sea kings. And you look at sea kings, sea kings are pretty big. They're pretty big sea creatures that can destroy ships. They can destroy Navy ships pretty easily, you know. They're bigger than Navy ships. So they can destroy like ships. And they could probably move big objects as well. You know. What would Uranus do though? Like what would be the purpose of that? It would have to do with something in the sky. My guess would be it could be something having to do with controlling weather. Cause that would be very OP. Like having like being able to control the weather of the planet possibly. Like that is a very like people have their theories that there's like a weather devil fruit, but I would think a weather devil fruit would have a limitation. Maybe you could control the land, the weather within a country or a region of a country. But with Uranus, if let's say it could control the weather, you know what I'm saying? And this is kind of the bouncing back to the theory I did. The last Reddit theory I read, where it talks about destroying the red line, and you know you would need Pluton to possibly destroy the red line. You would need Pluton. You would need Poseidon to maybe control the sea creatures. I don't know what they would do. I don't know what that would do. But maybe to just control them. You know, they could also help destroy. I don't know. But then there was a part in that theory where it says if you destroy the red line, then the weather would probably go a little crazy. So like around the world. So maybe having something like Uranus you'll be able to control that weather and stop the planet from going too crazy. You know, so with those three things, they will work in conjunction of each other in order to reunite the world. You know, that's kind of wrong. That's kind of what I'm thinking. You know, that's kind of my theory on what Uranus could be. It could be something that controls the weather, especially since it has to do with the sky. You know, and I could see maybe those little moon nights. Maybe they're not protecting the poneglyph. Maybe they're not protecting the One Piece. Maybe what they're protecting is Uranus. Pause. All right, so moving on. The ancient weapons. We says 3 ancient weapons bearing the name of gods: Pluton, Uranus, and Poseidon. In their conversation with Professor Clover, the 5 elders also mentioned the destructive powers of the ancient weapons. These weapons have the power to destroy the world. This kind of destructive power, supposedly, is derived from the ancient kingdom. Again, this seems to suggest that the kingdom was one of futuristic and unknowable technology. This makes it even more remarkable that the world government was able to join forces and defeat such a presumably powerful enemy. It is unclear whether the kingdom possessed the ability to use these weapons in order to figure out what these weapons are, what they're capable of, and how they can help decipher some of the mysteries of the One Piece world. It is necessary to look at each individually. All right, Pluton is named after Pluto, the Greek god of the underworld. The ancient weapon Pluton has been described as a battleship that has the power to destroy the entire world. This is the first ancient weapon were introduced to, and it is the one we have heard about the most. When the Straw Hat crew arrived in Alabasta, they found themselves in the middle of a conflict created by Sir Crocodile, who sought to obtain Pluton for himself. His ultimate goal was to create his own independent nation with the help of the weapon. Of all the kingdoms of the world government, only Alabasta chose not to send its monarch, the Nefertiti's, to Marijoa. Alabasta is the only kingdom of the world government as it exists today that has a poneglyph, a relic of the government enemy. All right, so I said the poneglyphs on Alabasta and its connection to the past and present events is perhaps the most puzzling. Crocodile somehow had the knowledge that the information about the Pluton weapon was inscribed there. Further, Nefertiti Cobra, the king of Alabasta, somehow also knew that the Pluton whereabouts were written there. The other question the poneglyphs in Alabasta poses is, why is it there? We learn later that the blueprints to the Pluton were handed down from shipwright to shipwright in the city of Water 7. It is unknown how these blueprints came into existence, but it cannot be assumed that they were necessarily written in ancient texts, especially since the title is written in English. All who saw it understood its destructive nature. I mean, I would kind of chalk that up as maybe it was originally written in ancient text, but maybe somebody translated it. I would think translated to modern languages. You know, that would probably make the most sense to me. But I don't know if English was the primary language of the ancient kingdom, and all the other kingdoms of the time. So, yeah. Both Crocodile and Iceberg, oddly enough, had the same idea in mind. They wished to keep or control the blueprints of the Pluton in order to act as an imposing force to the world government. These blueprints drive the action for much of the Water 7 Ennis Lobby story arc, just as they did for the Baruka Works story arc. Frankie's flashback revolves around his mentor and father figure Tom, who sacrifices himself in part to hide the blueprints from the government. Dragon Ball fan said, didn't Frankie burn the blueprints for Pluton? Yeah, he did. He did do it, while during Water 7. And the thing though is Frankie remembers it, like him being the shipwright, he's good at building. Like he's just good at remembering anything that has to do with building, or not even just ships. It could just be technology in general, so he's the only person that knows how to build Pluton at this point. And like, that's why I said earlier, like I said, Frankie probably, like the Sunny is probably, he probably incorporated some of the Pluton in the Sunny. Cause like Sunny is Sunny is a very advanced ship in One Piece. We don't see many ships in One Piece that can do the coup de burst, or that has that laser cannon in the front of it, you know. And I think that's probably like some things that Pluton might have as well, you know. But yeah, Frankie did burn the blueprints. You're right about that. So the Pluton has proven itself to be a major catalyst for some of the most crucial arcs in One Piece. Its existence, is its purpose, and its history still remain completely and utterly unknown to the reader and to most of the characters in the series. Why was it in Alabasta a kingdom of the opposition world government? Why were the blueprints in Water 7? These questions and many others remain unanswered. However, they all provided essential connections between the ancient history and the One Piece. All right, so let's move on to Poseidon. Poseidon is named after the Greek god of the sea. Our first introduction to this ancient weapon was in Skypiea, which indicated that the weapon was located in Fishman Island. The Fishman Island story arc addresses many questions surrounding this second ancient weapon. The poneglyph on Fishman Island includes an apology from an individual named Joy Boy, who lived on the surface, addressed to the mermaid princess over 800 years ago, during the Void Century. Volume 66, pages 62 to 63. According to the royal legend, someone will come to fulfill the promise in his steed. And at the time, the legendary ship Noah will perform its intended purpose. I would argue that the person who arrived in Joy Boy's steed is Monkey D. Luffy. And then it says, King Neptune goes on to say the mermaid princess at the time had the ability to control the Sea Kings, as also known as Neptunians, and the power had become apparent in the current mermaid princess, Shirahoshi. The power King Neptune explains would throw the world into chaos. Out of all three ancient weapons, we know the most about Poseidon. It is clear why the power is so destructive. It is the power to control Sea Kings, of course. This is a power that can reshape the world. These sea monsters are what divide the four seas from the Grand Line, and they have proven incredibly destructive. What is equally incredible is that this is a gift that has been passed down through a living being. The mermaid princess of the Void Century and Shirahoshi both possess this gift. The only equivalent legacy trait we have seen in One Piece thus far is the legend of the Will of D. This initial two possesses latent ties to the ancient kingdom that we do not understand yet. The inherited will in the ancient weapons, Poseidon may offer the most tangible clue for the power behind the One Piece. What do we know about the ancient weapon Uranus? Absolutely nothing. We don't, you know. We are able to derive some important points, however, using etymological clues. In ancient Greek mythology, Uranus is the god of the sky. Moreover, in Greek mythology, Uranus' blood rained down and created giants. I didn't really know that. Oda has followed this mythology with the ancient weapons thus far, and there is no indication he would deviate here. Hold on, let me. I would therefore not be surprised to see the poneglyphs for Uranus in Elbaf. This connection between Uranus and giants may also explain Dr. Vegapunk's experiments at Punk Hazard. While there, the Straw Hat Pirates encountered the skull of a creature even larger than an ordinary giant. Vegapunk, former protege, Caesar the Clown tried to turn regular children into giants. This kind of power may be harnessed as a means to operate this ancient weapon. The government has proven in its lobby and somewhere their desires to control these weapons, and using Vegapunk's ability to do so would not be out of the ordinary. Punk Hazard may be the first clue Oda has planted in regards to the ancient weapon, as both the world government and the Navy have to a stake in this facility. The insignia of both the world government and the Navy. Okay. So, all right. So, I didn't really know about like the god Uranus's blood raining down and creating giants, which is kind of related to the Bible if you think about it. Because in the Bible, you have angels, right? I mean, it's a little different in the Bible. It doesn't have nothing to do with like blood being rained down. But you have angels who consummate or have sexual relations, trying to keep it YouTube friendly here, with humans. And in doing so, they create giants, right? Called Nephilims. You could Google this. They're called Nephilims. So, but now what I would go off to venture to say is, what are the closest things that we have in the world of One Piece to angels? We have the sky races, the Skypian races, as well as the Lunarians. And there's something I kind of want to say, kind of going back to something earlier I was saying, but I'll say that as well. So they created giants. So, I still believe that Uranus has to do with like maybe weather control. I would think, because weather control is probably one of the most destructive forces you could have on the world. You could, if you control weather and create hurricanes and tornadoes all over the world, that's pretty destructive, and maybe you need giants in order to operate something of that level, because I would think it would be like a very big machine, you know what I'm saying? So, and so again, this even kind of connects more things, right? So let's think about it. I said the Skypians might be related to Wino, right? Because for the fact that Skypians could speak the language of the ancient kingdom. Wino, they could write. They created the poneglyphs. You could say the fishmen, because they had that promise with Joy Boy before. That they had that promise with the ancient kingdom to be able to move and live on the surface. And now you have the giant races, which I didn't even think about. Which you might need giants in order to operate Uranus, which may be more of a creation, a weapon, ancient weapon created by the sky races. But I wanted to say something because I was connecting Wino with Skypians, right? I said we have, like earlier I was talking about how the Wino people, they could write the language. Skypians could also read the language as well. But think about this as well. Like, think of one character in Wino that you could probably connect to Skypea. Like who would that be? I'm gonna give y'all a second. Who would be the one person one character in Wino that's not like a Straw Hat or some external pirate, but somebody who's a citizen of Wano that you could connect with Skypea? Have y'all thought about it yet? I would say it would be Tenguyama Hitetsu, the swordsmith who takes care of Otama. He's the Tengu guy. He has the mask. He's the swordsmith who who built was it Katetsu 1, 2, and 3? Like one of Zoro's swords. The man has the wings. You know, he kind of had wings similar to King. King is another character you could probably relate as well to Wano. But so I could even venture to say Tengu Hutetsu, Tengu Yama Kutetsu. I'm forgetting his name now. I would say that he could potentially be related to. He could be from Skypiea for all we know. You know, he could have been from the moon. He could be a Lunarian. But you see how Wino kind of almost connects with Skypiea or the moon in some, like Skypiea and the moon to some level. I'm just saying here, you know, it's a lot of connections, you know, and all these connections, all these different races are all connected to the ancient kingdom. You know, you have, you know, they're connected with history. You know, they're connected with histories, like you know, him talking about how the giants, how he's relating Uranus to the giants. I'm just saying. Let me continue. All right, so further, the legend of Ors, the continent puller, and the similarity Ors has to the logo at the entrance of Punk Hazard, which I think that's more related to, you know, because you got the numbers as well, the numbers who are in Punk Hazard. But again, this is new information that we're kind of learning throughout Wano, that the numbers were from Punk Hazard. So, but that's still relevant though. Why are they trying to create these giants though, like Ors? Why? So a popular theory we discussed on the podcast is that Uranus is the connection between the Moon Kingdom and the Ancient Kingdom. This theory would suggest that one of the moons present in the library of O'Hara may be an ancient weapon. Regardless of what Uranus may be or may not be, it provides the most potential for connecting these two halves of the story. It can bring together the potential origins of this ancient kingdom on the moon or in the sky with the ancient weapons spoken about in the poneglyphs.